Richard, the Crimson Tide men's basketball team rolling on to the program's fourth straight Sweet 16. When you look back at this weekend for Nate Oates and the boys in Tampa, what are you most impressed by?
Well, I'm really impressed with their resiliency, to come out in the NCAA tournament and bounce back after their performance in the SEC tournament with two big wins, particularly the one against Texas Tech to put them back into the Sweet 16. Just a phenomenal job on both ends of the court, and Nate Oates has his team rolling, particularly in postseason play.
Well, when you joined us last week, we talked about how Alabama would adjust without Aiden Holloway on the roster. How'd you see the offense flow without him on the floor?
Well, as I mentioned, if there was a position that they could be able to absorb, it would be at the guard position. And we saw that in this Texas Tech game with Latrell Wrightsell coming out and knocking down 6 3-pointers and Houston Millett with five of them of his own. 19 threes in that game. But to me, the real game was the defensive work in which Alabama did a tremendous job of shutting down Texas Tech. 34% shooting in the total of the game, and then also held them down on the 3-point line, which is a very, very strong strength of the Red Raiders. So a phenomenal job of playing spirited basketball for the entire 40 minutes. And Alabama, if they can continue to play like that, then you never know what can happen in the round of 16.
Of course, so much attention goes to LeBaron Philon Jr. with what he can do, but I love the fact you brought up Latrell Wrightsell Jr. with what he
Yeah.
did, especially in that Sunday game. Just when you get to see him kind of in the flow of his game along with his good defense, how impactful a player is he?
Oh, it's huge. You have an ability it allows him to stretch the court, and then it opens up driving lanes for, as you mentioned, LeBaron Philon to create. And he was able to create and facilitate with those assists. And Latrell Wrightsell was the player with the recipient of a lot of those passes. So it brings on a complementary style with the shooting on the outside, open up the driving lanes down low, and then him being a two-way player and taking on top defensive assignments with his tenacity. It's really good to see, particularly from a player who's coming off the injuries in the past and to be playing so well in the postseason.
And for the Crimson Tide, they have three seniors on this roster. Reitzel's one of them. He's been around for 3 years. Houston Lett for a couple of years. Noah Williamson, obviously just 1 year, but it's kind of different being a senior now in college basketball. But for you as a former player here at Alabama, how refreshing is it to hear Houston Millett and Latrell Wrightsell Jr. especially talk about how much this university means to them and how much this run in the postseason means to them?
It shows that there's still some players out there that understand the importance of college. Listen, college is about young players coming and making relationships on the campus, playing and being in these big moments and having some pride for the name that's on the front of the jersey. And when you see a couple of players who have been in the program for a few years and see the pride in which that they're playing, it's translating to wins. And it's not only translating to wins, but that attitude is permeating throughout the roster, which has been big for Nate Oates and his squad. So it's refreshing to see the responses of Latrell Wrightsell Jr. and Houston Millett when it comes to how they feel with the emotional connection to the team and the organization and the school as the most important part.
And I mentioned Noah Williamson's only had 1 year at Alabama. Maybe not the start to the season he wanted or some up and down performances throughout the year, but I feel like all of us have been saying, just watch, he'll do something great in March. And we got to see that on full display Sunday night.
Well, it's not always about how you start, it's about how you finish. And the 7-footer has come out and played really good basketball for Alabama in the NCAA tournament, knocking down 3-point shots, being effective under the goal, and really showing a level of confidence that is important. And so much of the game is about not your physical tools, but how you're able to react mentally and emotionally and to be effective. And he struggled early on in this season, but you have to remember, this is a former Patriot League Player of the Year. And anytime that you are a Conference Player of the Year, then you definitely have a skill set that will translate to you being impactful on the court. He's finally been able to show that, and he's shown it at the right moment. And you can only hope for him that he'll continue it because Alabama will need his front line presence in the next game against Michigan.
Yeah, that leads us right into the scouting report on the Michigan Wolverines, who, of course, have had a great season, earning a number 1 seed out of the Big Ten. Just what's going to be the toughest challenge for Alabama on Friday night in the Sweet 16?
Well, I do think that it's going to be what they can do in the front lines. Michigan are loaded down low, and it's led by Yaxel Lindeborg, who had a big time performance in his last game. They've won their last two games by 20 plus points in each of them to now be in the Sweet 16 and out rebounded their recent opponent by 15 points. And it's the second chance points in which that they were able to get in the points in the paint, 42 of them that they had in the round of 32. So Alabama's going to have to make sure that they're going to be physical, try to control and neutralize Michigan when it comes to their offensive rebounding, and be strong when it comes to playing low post defense and being physical on blockouts. So this is a game that the challenge is going to be on Aiden Sherrill, and as well as Noah Williamson and many of the guards coming in and doing things on the interior from a collective standpoint. But this is going to be a massive challenge, but more so, you got to look at it as a massive opportunity for Alabama to come out and show what they're made of.
How about the tempo of this game? Can Alabama play at the pace it wants to against Michigan?
I think so. I think you have to dictate tempo, and I think you also have to play from in front. And if Alabama can hit some early threes to get the lead in their favor, that forces Michigan to have to play at a faster pace to play catch up. Now the game starts to tilt into the Tide's hands. But getting off to a fast start is going to be really important for Alabama. And that's not just only with knocking down shots on the outside. It's about what you're doing as far as being locked in and focused on the defensive end to manufacture stops early in the game.
So the Crimson Tide moving on to the Sweet 16 in men's basketball. Hopefully the Elite Eight, Final Four, National Championship after that. We look forward to everything coming up this weekend. Richard, wanted to shift your attention to women's basketball. Of course, you've called some games with me on the network and also on SEC Network Plus this year. Just your thoughts from getting to see the results roll in. Alabama picking up a first round win against Rhode Island on Saturday and then coming just a point shy of beating Louisville on Monday.
Well, it was a heartbreaker to see Alabama not advance to the Sweet 16 on the women's side, but all in all, to me, this was a fantastic year. 24 wins that they had this season, which matched the season total of last year. And quite frankly, I think many people that were watching that team in the previous year that had three players to be drafted in the WNBA draft, I thought that many people might feel that this run might be over when you lose those type of caliber players as Sarah Ashley Barker, Aaliyah Nah, and Zay Green. But this team was a joy to watch because they got it done collectively, led by Carly Weathers and that spirit in which she plays. Diana Collins took her game up to another level this season. Jessica Timmons with the comeback story coming off of the injury. And this, you saw so many players step up big throughout the course of this season, and particularly even in the last game. Ace Austin, the freshman, showing that she's ready to take on another role in her sophomore year. But Christy Curry has to be pleased with the way that this team responded throughout the entire year in the top 25 for much of this season. An impressive season, and all in all, two wins in the SEC tournament. Just came up a little bit short. It shows how much home court advantage does matter in the NCAA tournament. But listen, this is a team and a program that's headed in the right direction. And I think maybe next year, with a few more tweaks, they might be able to get over the hump to get into that second weekend.
Yeah, a lot of roster turnover coming up for Alabama, losing four seniors, especially talented players like Jessica Timmons, Carly Weathers, Tamia Scotto meant so much to Alabama in terms of their scoring production. So a lot of people are kind of looking at Monday's game and saying, hey, could this be a sign of the future? Can Ace Austin take her game to the next level as a sophomore? What do you see from her?
Potentially, I think she has the winning pedigree that she brings in from college, and she's been able to learn from this senior group. Tamia Scott is a player that I felt like had a shifty game that was able to be impactful in so many ways in her 1 year here, and that's something you can learn from in Ace Austin when it comes to taking away little things from that. The leadership of Carly Weathers, the scoring ability of uh, of of Jessica Timmons. I mean, so many things. And I do think with the guard play with Ace Austin and Diana Collins, you might be able to play a little faster and have a little bit more pace. But the experience counts, and with Essence Cody back in the fold, Kefley can take her game to another level. She looked refreshed in this NCAA tournament, and in the first game in particular, she showed a little bit of what we've been able to see in the past, and hopefully what we'll see a lot more of in the future. So I do believe this coaching staff will continue to reload, and they have a style of ball that allows players to come in and fit seamlessly and play to their maximum potential.
Well, Richard, you've been busy keeping up with not only teams like Alabama in the NCAA tournament, calling some NIT games as well. What's on your schedule the rest of the week? Are you just coaching your kids' teams? Are you
There
going to
you
any ball
go.
games in Chicago? What's next for you?
No, there you go. Listen, it's time to move on over to baseball and softball in the youth leagues, So a lot of fun. Listen, it was a blast calling games this season. I was honored to be on the call for not only so many of Alabama's high-level games that they had on the men's and women's side, but some big-time games in the SEC and postseason play in the NIT. Called a few conference championship games. So to send some teams to the NCAA tournament was a lot of fun. But for me, it's just always an honor to be on the court.
Absolutely. Well, Richard, we appreciate your good work. And again, hopefully we'll keep this going. Hopefully we're previewing the Final Four next week on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. But just thank you for your time. All the best, and be the best coach you can be out there this weekend. Thank you. Roll Tide.
Thank you. Roll Tide.